Okay, we know what we're going to look for in our work. I want you to look to see how I demonstrate those 3 steps in today's problem. Look to see how I'm adding or subtracting fractions. Look to see how I'm regrouping if I have to subtract and I don't have enough. And then look how I make sure my final answer is not an improper fraction, that it is a mixed number. So, purely computational. What is 8 3/5 plus 1/5? I prefer putting these vertically. For this first method. Much easier because now I can add my fractions together and my whole numbers together. So my fractions, 3 plus 4, 3 plus 1 is 4/5, and 8 plus 8 is 16. So super clean and easy when I'm looking at it this way. For some reason, when I look at my numbers horizontally, there's a ton of numbers here. So even though I know I'm doing some adding here and here, it can be kind of confusing. So I would rewrite this another way. So for some kids, I would tell them line it up vertically where we can just add our fractions together and add our whole numbers together. Now, once you do that, look to make sure, is this improper? The answer here is no, so we're good. And then I would also check to make sure if I can simplify this, but we'll talk more about that in a future lesson. And if you like doing it from left to right, you can rewrite this kind of by expanding it. So remember when we expanded numbers? And you can put the numbers, the parts together. Like I might want the numbers together and I might put the fractions together. And now it's easier for me to do 8 plus 8 is 16 and 3/5 and 1/5 is 4/5. So much easier for you to write this down. So I don't care which method you use. Both work really, really well, but it's more about how you think. So if it's easier for you to see it visually this way, vertically, and just add down, if this makes more sense for your mind, do that. There are some kids who, when they expand it and just put the pieces together, the same pieces together and add, that makes total sense to them. So you can use either way. This works great for addition. So hit pause and jot this down into your notes. What value can replace the question mark to make the statement true? So I have 3 2/8 plus some number is 7 1/8. So if I was thinking about this vertically, I would have 3 2/8 plus something gives me 7 1/8. So just looking at this, I would have a hard time with this way because I'm trying to think, how do I add and get to a 1? That doesn't make much sense. So I would rather rewrite this as a subtraction problem and instead do 7 1/8 minus 3 2/8. And I'm doing the stacking method first. Now, if you're doing it this way, yes, you can subtract your whole numbers, but also look before you do anything, and do you have enough? And I'm always asking whenever I do subtraction, I just go from left to right and ask, do I have enough? I have enough to subtract here. I do not have enough to subtract here. So this is where I'm going to do my regrouping. I'm going to take one of these and I'm going to add it over here. So I took that 1 and turned it to 8 over 8. So now what I actually have is 6 9/8 minus 3 2/8. So do you have enough now? Yeah, I could do 6 minus 3 and I can do 9/8 minus 2/8. And I would have 3 7/8, which is right here. So this is one method that works super well. Another method that you can do with this, you could just count up. And I like counting up a lot. A lot of kids like this visually, where if I'm at 3 2/8, how can I get to 7 1/8? And I've had some kids go and say, well, let's just do a little hop to 4. How can I get to 4? So instead I have 2 eighths. I can just add 6 eighths to get to 4. And then it's a nice easy hop. How do I get from 7 to from 4 to 7 and 1/8? I'm just adding 3 and 1/8. So I've seen some kids do this and then just add those 2 pieces together. This is another super cool way that you can get 3 and 7/8. And obviously your jumping can be whatever you want. I just like to make the number super friendly. So I know some kids who like to make like bigger chunks, but bigger whole chunks. Like, so you might add, I like this chunk here, but maybe they're like, oh, I want to add 3 and get to 6, or I want to add whatever. It just has to make sense. But I love making it friendly by just getting to the next whole number, and then I know what to add to get to the next part. All right, so let's hit pause and jot this down. These are 2 different methods for solving this type of problem. Okay, we have one more subtraction problem. Again, we can go vertically and then we could do a number line, so we'll do both. In this case, I'll start with the number line one first, just for visual sake. So if I was at, in this case, I'm at 2 3/4, how do I get to 5 1/4? What's the difference? So I want to hop to the next whole number 3. And to get there, I'm going to add 1/4. Okay, again, how do I know that? Because I have 3/4, and I know that if I added another 1/4, I'd have a whole, and that will get me here. And then I can hop and say, well, I want to get to 5. So I just need 2 to get to 5. And then I can just add 1/4. So 5 plus 1/4 will get me to 5 1/4. And then you can just add these little pieces up together. So 1/4 plus 2 plus 1/4 is 2 2/4. And that would be my answer. And we could talk about simplifying another time. Now, if you like vertical, which I'm a super big fan of too, you can do that. And again, you're just asking, do I have enough? I can subtract here, but I don't have enough here. So I'm going to borrow 1, and I'm going to add 1, so 4/4. So now I have 4 5/4 minus 2 3/4. And now I can subtract. 4 minus 2 is 2, and 5 minus 3 is also 2. So again, both of these methods work, and they both give you the same answer. Use the one that makes the most sense to you. And as always, once you pick a strategy, I would just practice and get feedback from others to make sure that you're getting the correct answer. And the more you do it, the more it will start to make sense in your brain, as long as you're getting feedback. And if you're making a mistake, super normal. Just figure out with feedback where the mistake is happening and work towards fixing that. That's it for today's lesson. That was adding, subtracting with mixed numbers, and I will see you in the next one, 4th graders. Bye.